Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us. We are going to try to look a little closer to the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and we seek your kind blessings and your good wishes so that we can dive into the nectar of the wonderful sweet song of the Lord, Bhagavad Gita. So 15th chapter is actually a glorious chapter, as they all are. Only has 20 verses, just like the 12th chapter. It's one of the smallest chapters in the Bhagavad Gita, but it gives so much information. And the title of the chapter is The Yoga of the Supreme Person. We've covered the first two themes, how the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. And Krishna gives an example of the banyan tree, or the reflection of the banyan tree. And he basically saying to Arjuna that this tree, the roots grow upwards, and just 1 minute. Okay, the roots grow upwards, and there are huge number of roots, huge number of branches. The more activities we do in this world, jumping from branch to branch, tree to tree, the deeper our entanglement in this material, the larger the tree, the more complex it becomes. And the only way to come out of it is by becoming detached. Detached to this world, but attached to his world. Second theme was that Krishna gives a glimpse into this spiritual world, how no light is required, etc. So now we can move to the next two themes. And before we do that, we can just have a look at an academic review of Srila Prabhupada's books. Is this the one? Ah, yes, this is the one. So this is by Dr. Geddes McGregor, Emeritus of the Distinguished Professor of Philosophy, University of Southern California. No work in all Indian literature is more quoted because none is better loved in the West than the Bhagavad Gita. Translation of such a work demands not only knowledge of Sanskrit, but an inward sympathy with the theme and a verbal artistry, for the poem is a symphony in which God is seen in all things. Wonderful comment. Good realization by this professor. And we are very fortunate to have Srila Prabhupada's biography, rendition of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, so we've talked, yes, we're going to the third theme now. So I'd like to ask if somebody'd like to volunteer to read. Any volunteers? Sanchana?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Naliban, yes?
Yeah.
You can read.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 16. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Text 17. Beside these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Text 18. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. Text 19. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Text 20. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and these endeavors will know perfection. Hare Krishna. Hello?
Hare Krishna. May have made a mistake actually. Yes, sorry, I've made a mistake. Thank you, Nani Ben. We've read the last part of the Bhagavad Gita. The third theme is here. So Nani Ben, if you could do us the honors again of reading from text 12 to text 15.
Okay. Yeah. Text 12. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Text 13. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they will stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Text 14. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff. Text 15. Oh. Text 15. I'm seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedan, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Nani. Fantastic. So this is glorious. Krishna saying how he looks after us in this world. We don't know it, but he is our maintainer. The splendor of the sun comes from him. The splendor of the moon comes from him. Fire comes from him. He enters into each planet, and by his energy, they stay in orbit. He gives the juice to the vegetables through the moon. And this is a really interesting one, text 14. We'll look at that in a little bit more detail. And here, of course, he's also describing how he is seated in everybody's heart. You can probably hear some background noise. Sorry, it's not going to last long. It's just somebody doing a little bit of hoovering around. So let's have a look at the summary. One who is entangled within the reflected tree of material existence can develop his Krishna consciousness by appreciating Krishna as the maintainer on all levels. So yes, we are entangled, but let's see how Krishna looks after us. Krishna maintains our gross physical body by arranging fundamental resources that provide the energy of life. So there are 4 types of foodstuffs, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita. That which is chewed, that which is licked, like an ice cream. The UK is going through the hottest.
This is Southeast.
Oh, is it? Just, okay, London is going through the hottest day or ever, 35 degrees. So this is a day where you could have an ice lolly and you'd lick it. And then there's food that's sucked, or you could even suck an ice lolly and swallow. So there's 4 types of foodstuffs. And Krishna is very kind, because when we go to sleep, for example, he, as the outgoing and the incoming air, life air, comes, and as a fire of digestion, he turns everything into energy or waste. So the importance of digestive fire is that we require it, otherwise the food will not get digested and will not turn into energy. And anybody who's had a digestive problem, you will understand this issue very clearly, that we require this fire of digestion within our system. Otherwise, life becomes very, very difficult. So that fire of digestion is Krishna, manifestation of Lord Krishna. And the supporting reference for that, there is something in the Brihad Aranyak Upanishad. Supreme Lord situated as fire in the stomach and digesting all kinds of food. And in the Vedanta Sutra, he also says the Lord is situated within sound, body, air, even within the stomach as digestive fire. So somewhere in one of our devotees, is the Shant there?
Yeah, he said, I'm here, but I'm trying to find.
Shant is not there. Okay.
No, he's sent a message saying, said, I'm here.
So this is very interesting. Krishna looks after us physically. He maintains our subtle capacities by facilitating knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness, all three. So he says he gives us knowledge. He allows us to remember. He also allows us to forget as well. If we want to forget him, he will facilitate that as well. If we want to remember him, of course he will facilitate that. So he looks after us, our mental capacities. And finally, the most important, he maintains our spirituality by offering ways and means to achieve self-realization and escaping the dangerous cycle of repeated birth and death. That he does through many ways. One is the Paramatma. If one is sincere, then he will guide from within. And from outside, he will guide as the spiritual master or the devotees, like that. So the lesson to take from this is a very nice lesson, that Krishna is always our maintainer. Due to our false ego, we may think that I am the one who has earned the bank balance, and it's all my effort that my family is being sustained. This is my house, and we may have so many false notions, but actually the fact of the matter is that Krishna is our only maintainer. He's the only one who's looking after us in every single sense of the word. So it's very important to remember that and appreciate that. Okay, so any comments? Madhusudan Babu?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, these are amazing verses, you know, and chapter 15, when Krishna is actually saying, you know, Aham Sarvasa Prabhavo, you know, and Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanivisto. Hridi means the heart, isn't it? So I'm seated in the heart of all living entities. And in the last, you know, few verses, we said that Krishna says that in the spiritual, there is that another part of the world creation where there is no need for sunlight. But because we are born in darkness in material world, we need some sort of light. At night time, we need electricity and light and all that. But over in the spiritual world, is everything self-illuminating, and everything is in full knowledge. And so clear directions here, you know, for us actually, you know, to start to sort of understand this part of the Bhagavad Gita. And then we understand the laws of material nature, like Rajogun, Tamogun, and Satogun, and all those gunas. And we start to mold our life in such a way that we can start to go towards the spiritual world rather than staying tangled up here. And that banyan tree, that picture that you showed yesterday, looked quite daunting actually. When you look at it, you think it's so deep and complex, you know, and to see ourselves so tangled up in a tree like that with its roots upside down and all that, and it is quite tangling, you know. You can see how tangled up we are here. You know, it's not easy to just get out of here that easy. But fortunately, you know, Krishna gives a very easy solutions as well. You know, nothing is that difficult if you desire. And when we do desire, Krishna says I give you the knowledge by which you come to me. I give you the remembrance. I'm the forgetfulness, if we want to forget. So we do forget about past lives as well. You know, when you take another body, another birth, and then we forget what our past lives were. And then we forget this one when we go to the next one. So it carries on like that, you know. So, but Krishna remembers everything, you know. So I'm very revealing. These part of the Bhagavad Gita, you just can't. There's no two ways about it. Krishna just gives it directly, doesn't it? So, yeah. And then one can't dispute that, you know, where is Krishna? Oh, he's sitting in your heart. You're not that far away from anyone if they really want to know where he is. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's very good. Very nice. Nice realizations. Anybody like to ask any questions, any comments? Okay. So this chapter, Purushottam Yoga, actually there is a month coming up shortly, which is called the month of Purushottam, Adhik Mas, extra month. And that month we recite this chapter every day, and we look at this chapter. It's a very, very beautiful chapter. So hopefully we'll be doing that. So let's have a look at the rest of the verses now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Text 16. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. 17. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Text 18. Because I'm transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, because I'm the greatest, I'm celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. Text 19. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is a knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Text 20. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. That's the end of chapter 15 of Purushottam Yoga.
Okay, thank you very much. Just one second. So this chapter is very, very interesting. This theme, because he's distinguishing the different types of living entities, those who are fallible, and that's those who are living in this material world. Every living entity in this material world is fallible. And then there's those who are infallible. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are eternally fallible. We may be fallible for a very long time according to our calculation. We may have been in this world for a very, very long time. However, the reason why the Lord comes to this world, and because that's what he's saying in the text 17, besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. So the reason why He comes is not just to maintain us, but to actually take us back to His world again, because we've left Him. And it's a bit coincidental. Priti has been asking me several questions relating to this aspect. How did we originally come away from the Lord? Why did we decide the route that we decided? That is actually a question which was asked of Prabhupada many, many times. And invariably, his response was this one. If you go to the doctor with malaria, he will give you a cure. But he won't ask you which mosquito bit you. Similarly, we know our disease. Our disease is this material world. And the doctor has prescribed the medicine, which is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And to actually work out why did we come into this world is quite an involved process. And it's not going to be an exact science, because there can be many, many reasons as to why we come to this world. Generally, it is described by Srila Prabhupada that for some reason, somehow, we, the pure spirit soul, for some reason wanted to, were exposed, were with the Lord, And perhaps we wondered what it would be like to be worshipped like the Lord. And that desire was enough for the Lord to create this material world and fulfill that desire, where here we can try to lord it over. But of course we know this material world is perfectly imperfect, impossible to actually sustain any longevity in our conquering this world, because death is imminent and inevitable. So in many ways, the question about why did we come here in the first place it's difficult to answer, it's difficult to understand. And Prabhupada's view was that not to worry too much about it. And just like the doctor prescribes the medicine, Prabhupada has given the medicine. Take the medicine, go back home. And once we're home, it'll all become very clear as to why we did what we did. And because we'll remember that this world was a pretty frightening place, we will even do our service in the spiritual world even better. So summary of this verse is, previously Krishna summarized the Bhagavad Gita in 4 verses in the 10th chapter. That's from 10.8 till 10.11. And now in 3 verses, he summarizes the teachings, how fallible living entities have dropped into the tree of material existence due to an independent desire to enjoy. These are different from the infallible living entities, Akshara, who never leave the spiritual realm due to their undeviated desire to be with the Lord. They're fully satisfied serving the Lord. Beyond both these two is the Supreme Lord. Yet in another passage, Krishna reinforces that a living entity never becomes God, since even liberated souls have their separate identity in the spiritual world. Knowing Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one engages in bhakti. So this is text 19, a little bit more detail. Who is the knower of everything? One who knows Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting engages in full devotional service. So the lesson from this theme is to understand we can never become God. We're always his servant. There is a huge misconception in Bharatiya culture that we can merge with God, we can become God, we meditate on the light and we can merge with him basically. And we become God basically. But that is actually a detestable situation. Why would we want to merge with God? We want to serve God. And in this world, servant has a demeaning sort of connotation to it. But actually, in the spiritual world, the position of the servant is exalted to such a degree that if one is completely and utterly fixed in one's service to God, then one can actually conquer the Supreme Lord himself through the mood of service. And the reason for that is the devotee doesn't want anything back in return for his service. So he serves the Lord to his heart's content. And the Lord will ask him, what can I do for you? Because the Lord is personable. He wants to interact with us. He wants to reciprocate with us. And as we give, he wants to give back. How much can we take with our 2 hands if he gives with his 4 hands? Right? But the devotee says, no, I don't want anything. Why? Krishna will ask, why don't you want anything? Because I'm satisfied in serving you. That's all I want to do. But take something, Krishna will say. I'm okay. I don't want anything from you. I just want to love you. I just want to serve you. No, you have to take something. What can I give you? how can I repay this debt I owe you now? Because you're doing so much service for me. No, I don't need anything at all. I'm just happy as I am, just in your service, in your company. In this way, the Lord becomes defeated, and he is willing to do anything for this devotee. He's willing to give himself to this devotee, because the devotee completely refuses to accept anything in return for his service. So that's why in the spiritual realm, the position of the servant is exalted. He controls the Lord. And of all of the exalted personalities in the spiritual kingdom, one outshines everybody. And she is actually non-different from Krishna himself. She's Radharani. She's the energy of the energetic. But she's regarded to be the most exalted personality. And she controls Krishna by her love. So often we have, I remember in one train journey, I was with Guru Maharaj, and there was, we were having a debate with one Bharatiya man, and he was saying how, he's going to become God. He's going to perfect his life, and he's going to meditate. And we were discussing, and I was getting a little frustrated because we were saying, no, you cannot, you can serve God. Why not serve God? Why do you want to become God? And then at one point, I got so frustrated. I said to him, well, you want to become God? I want to become more than God. And he got confused. I said, yes, there is a situation where one can become more than God. So if you're God, I can become more than you. And then he sat down and we talked a little bit more. And I explained to him about the position of Srimati Radharani, how she controls the Supreme Lord, how Yashoda Mai has a stick in her hand and she's running after little Krishna. So who's God? The one who's scared or the one who's holding the stick? So then I think he understood a little bit better, perhaps. So I wanted to stop there and ask Madhusudhan for your comments.
Yeah, Honorable Nabi, that's, good realization, when you come across individuals, who are so kind of confused and they're stuck in this impersonal and all that philosophies, of India. It is actually, but when we read Prabhupada's purports are so clear, and when Prabhupada says when there is sun present, there's no question of darkness. There's no darkness when the sun is there. So in the same way, when Krishna is there, there's no ignorance. So everything is in full knowledge. So when we try to get Krishna into our life, then certainly, the ignorance starts to dissipate. We do become more and more fixed in intelligence. We start to go more towards Sattva-gun, pure goodness, and that's our situation. But quite rightly, when people are confused and saying, "Oh, Ram, Krishna, this, that," there was the other day I was on Zoom. I had to attend somebody's funeral, in the same way. And because you can't attend funerals these days, they do it on a Zoom platform. So obviously the family is there and everybody is connected to the Zoom like we are now. And they're all kind of paying their respects in their own way. But in the Hindu culture, as you know, we try to not glorify, but at least, the person who has passed away, certainly, is in his honor. They just doing a lot of bhajans, kirtans, and all that. And it was quite interesting, and it kind of became so, I became so aware of it that, there was somebody singing bhajans because he was affiliated with the Swaminarayan side or Sai Baba side or this, that. And it was all kind of confused, but they just wanted to sing that, obviously, which is their right to, and I'm not judging or anything like that, but you could see how kind of a khichdi it was, you know, in Hinduism. And this is how Hindus all come out of this kind of mixed understanding of Sanatana Dharma. And then when we are reading Prabhupada's book, you know, you just glorify Krishna and you do the Maha Mantra and you sing Krishna bhajans. And some people were, which is nice. And then we glorify Krishna, and then but they're confused, you know. Then they say, "Oh, Lord Shiva is the topmost." There's quite a bit of confusion. That's when you kind of saw in that Zoom session, you can kind of saw apparent how confused people can become, you know, and how misled people can become. But we are very, very fortunate. Come across Prabhupada and his purports are so clear. You can see how even young boys who were at this time, who came in his association, coming across his Bhagavad Gita, and obviously, you know, they just take the Bhagavad Gita as a spiritual guide then in their life, and it's Krishna's words. So definitely, you know, with every time we read Bhagavad Gita more and more, it'll be refreshing. You'll be learning more and more ignorance goes. You know, so these are quite revealing, you know, and that's why this Krishna says it's the most confidential knowledge. Okay, Haribol.
Thank you very much, Madhusudan Prabhu. Any questions? Priti.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I don't have any questions at the moment. More that, like I get what you're saying. Just, I still would like to know. I'm still curious, you know.
Sure. Curiosity is fine. Curiosity is fine.
So it's like I get it what you say, because I know we had a few question answer session earlier. I get what you say, that some things just is a bit much and everything, but I guess I'm still, I'm still curious. Well, you know, please, I'm here. Tell me, I've got the question. So yeah, that's where I am.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. We got a little time. Go, you can ask your question.
No, I'm still like it's the same stuff. I guess I'm not satisfied with.
Yes.
Like it's fine. I get it. You know, like here's the cure. Don't worry about thinking about it. But the thing with me is the question is still there. Like where did that
just
envy come
articulate
from?
articulate your question so everybody can hear it. Yeah, everybody can hear it.
I see. Can everyone hear me then?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you're clear.
Okay, so I understand that we were there with Krishna, and we decided that we wanted to see what it was like to be master. So Krishna, that was our like, it's our free will, and Krishna was like, okay, so there's the material world for you. And if you want to come back, I will say it like this: here's the Bhagavad Gita. But I want to know what happened that made us think that thought, like we want to be masters, and beyond, like I've been told, envy, and I mentioned one, we got onto the word, it was they wondered, you know, these entities, but I just want to know again, like, was there any factor that led them to wonder about it?
Mm-hmm. This is the original sin, if you like. What happened right at the beginning? Why did what led to the situation where we've perhaps thought, wonder what it's like to be the Lord? What's happened to the soul to think that, right? Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So originally we are Satchit Ananda. The soul is regarded to be eternal, Satchit, full of knowledge, and Ananda is happy. And the vast majority of living entities are happy in the whole of creation, including the material and the spiritual, the vast majority. round about maybe between 10 to 20% are in this material world, because for whatever reason, they, in the spiritual world, they had they saw the position of the Lord, and it was just, they just wondered, what is it like to be worshipped? Probably not much more than that. Probably not much more, because in the spiritual world, the living entity is situated properly. However, the free will is given by the Lord. So if the soul wants, he can think, he can choose whatever he likes. He's got that free will, especially in the spiritual world. That free will becomes even more prominent because the soul is in full knowledge and control. In the material world, we know it's a little different now, because material nature actually is in control. And we have a desire, material nature takes over, and we're thinking this is the desire of the soul to do whatever it's doing, but actually it's material nature. So here we may not have so much control over our free will. In the spiritual world, that control is vastly more for the living entity. So just like in every society, you have a small minority of the population who will go against the rule of law. So in the spiritual world, because of that free will, and here we have that so-called free will to go against the rule of law. So in the spiritual world, it's the same, because here is just a reflection of the spiritual world. So the spirit soul can have that free will to go against, just to go against, if he wants, the norm. And why he would go against the norm, just like here, there's so many different crimes one can commit in order to get to prison, right? It's not just one set of crimes. It can be many sets of crimes to go to prison. So in the spiritual world, in order to come to this material world, which is like this prison house, there are a wide range of things that we can go against the grain, and we come into the material world. One of them, and one of the most prominent, is one where we have become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the sense that we want to see what it's like to be worshipped. And because the Lord is magnanimous, is kind, he will allow that desire to be fulfilled, knowing that it's for a short period of time. Because in the spiritual realm, time has a different conception to the material realm. So it may seem that here we might be here for billions of lifetimes of Lord Brahma. Who knows, right? That's a lot of time. But that same amount of time in the spiritual world may just be a moment, or even less than a moment. So we will have learned our lesson according to the spiritual time frame in a very short period of time. But according to a material time frame, we will be in this world for a very, very long time. So although our sort of crime is some sort of envy against the Lord, that crime is, in spiritual context, a very short period of time. And we learn our lesson very quickly. But whilst we're here in this world, it seems like forever, because this is the concept of time in this material world. And this material world is completely designed, perfectly imperfect, completely designed to guide us back from this prison house back into the spiritual world. The original reason why the soul would want to rebel, because he can, because he's got the free will to do so. And he can choose whether to be with God or be without God. It's his right. God has given that right. He may. So yes, Pitamba.
What I was wondering, I mean, I've always found this question very difficult as well, because I always felt to myself, well, you're full of knowledge, bliss, and everything in the spiritual world. What, you know, who would want to leave a place where your bodies are eternal, where everything is so, you know, beautiful, the relationship, wherever you are, you know, you're going to lose all the relationships that you've had there with all the devotees singing, dancing, and, you know, it was a, to be honest, I would say it was a very nasty gamble, you know, that the living entity took. It's probably the worst gamble one can ever take, you know. But I mean, what I wondered about, I mean, I eventually gave up because I thought this is beyond my comprehension to able to work it out, because I don't know. But one thing I did think was, will I end up back in the same place in the spiritual world? That's what I always wondered, you know. Because obviously I've come from some vacant planet in the spiritual world. Will I end up there? Or because now I'm into Shri Radha and Krishna, I'm going to be in a different place? I hope that question's all right.
That's an interesting question. Generally, the constitutional position is what we will attain again. Generally, that's what happens. So if we were
A blade of grass.
a blade of grass. How did you know I was thinking about blade of grass? This is scary stuff. We've been married too long. Yeah, if you're a blade of grass somewhere, then generally speaking, that's what you would go back to, because that's what your constitutional position is. That's where you are the happiest. However, that is not always the case. It may be the case that by the mercy of the spiritual master, one can have a different constitutional position once one is back in the spiritual world. It's dependent on the daya of the guru. And how that exactly works, I have got absolutely no idea. All I know is the spiritual master is able to change the constitutional position of the living entity if he so desires.
Wow,
Bhavani?
Yeah.
that's really, really deep. That's really, really deep. It just shows how powerful the spiritual master is, actually.
Yeah.
You know?
The spiritual master, there's no comparison. Bhavani, did you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, here I just want to add the same thing whatever you have explained, because I used to hear this from my father. I just want to say that. So, why God created this world? For the first question. So, yeah, when I was little, I used to ask this by my father. He just used to say, like, you know, in spiritual world, all the souls are like, you know, that there's no difference between, like, you know, good and bad, happy and sad, because everywhere it's a joyful, completely happy, you know, and they were all clustered, and they were clustered with the master also. But, you know, for example, if we in our lives, if we are not seeing sad days, every day we are getting very happy day, we are just having whatever the life we want. So after living that life for a year or so, or 2 years, 5 years, and after a certain time we get bored, isn't it? In the same way, the clustered souls after some time, they just want to get that freedom, like, you know, liberation. So that's why God created this world, and then he just said, you know, there you go, this is your bubble, come on, write your own, create your own destiny. However, like, you know, do your best, whatever you wanted to, you can do it over there, and whenever you want, like after, like, you know, from rebirths and after certain janams. So then, you know, eventually, if you want to attain, yes, I'm here. But however, that's where he created illusion, Maya, Yog Maya, and he created the concept of, you know, karma, birth and death cycle. So, and that's where this Jivatma, and he gave the name, like, you know, this Jivatma and Paramatma concept. So yeah, that's my realization. That's why he created the world, and he gave us a chance to create our own destiny. And ultimately, after you've done whatever you need to do, like, desires, so after whatever you wanted to, you can do it over there, and then obviously you can, whoever want to attain me, they can attain me also at the end of it. So that's where maybe we have a concept of rebirth also. If
Yeah.
you are not realizing in this janam, maybe we need to take again rebirth, like, those birth cycles. Ultimately, again you have an option of reaching God when you realize.
Yeah.
So that's the, yeah,
yeah.
this one I used to hear from my father.
Nice realization. Your father was advanced devotee.
Yeah. Prithvi, I
Thank you.
just want to add something. That
Mhm.
actually in spiritual, we're just away from like a click of a finger. That's how long we're away. And, like say we're a blade of grass, and for some reason, that blade of grass disappears. It's only for like a click of a finger and we're back again there. So, it doesn't seem as if we're away from Krishna in the spiritual realm, really. That's how I understand it.
Thanks, Mataji.
Yeah, you're actually right there, Mataji, because, Prabhupada was asked this question. He said, how long would it take for me to realize Krishna or this question? Prabhupada says, well, it can depend. It can happen within a second, like you say, the click of a finger, if you want it to be, but it all depends on us as well. And by the mercy of Prabhupada, that can happen. I mean, spiritual master can just reveal. And that's one thing that, sometimes this question, even I had the question. So I asked, not Krishna's mother, there was another devotee, I was initiated before. I asked the same question. I said, why are we here, And the simple answer was, he just answered and he said, because you wanted to be here. I said, what, did I really? Yeah. So he said, if you don't want to be here, you can choose, and don't want to be here, you can go back.
Nice, I like that.
He said, so we're here because we wanted to be here. For whatever reason, wherever we were there. And like you say, we as we start to practice Krishna consciousness, and our spiritual realization enhances the consciousness, we become more and more connected, more and more awake, like we were singing earlier on. Vibhavari says, in that verse also, there's a mention of like jiva, awake, to awaken as such, in that verse. So that those sort of verses, as we start to realize more and more, we getting out of this slumber of sleep in the Maya and all that. And then we start to realize, really, we're not, the Maya is controlling us really here. And I'm only serving Maya here in a way, illusions and all that. So as you say, with a click of a finger, it can just happen that you just wake up suddenly and you're out of a dream. And then you're in the spiritual world and you think suddenly everything, you're fully conscious. Oh, there's Krishna. Oh, there's coward boys, and oh, this is spiritual life. But while we are still in this spiritual world, like Prabhupada, he did a lot of tapasya. He was fully Krishna conscious, right? His body is even in the purports. If you read the purports very carefully, Prabhupada explains, even while in this material world, the body is actually become spiritual. And then, Krishna devotees don't want any, like you were saying earlier, Navi, they don't really want any glamour or this, like Dhruva Maharaj as well in Srimad Bhagavatam, when the Lord appeared in front of him, do you want anything? He said, I was, looking for pieces of gold, I found the real diamond. Now, why do I want anything else? Just want to serve you, Lord, and so your mood change. But then we leave it to Krishna, Krishna said, even send me to hell, but just do one thing. Never let me forget you, and make me always remember you. So wherever you want me to send me, that's what Krishna, devotees are like that, leave it to Krishna. Krishna, send me to hell even if you have to serve you. And by going to hell, devotees end up going, Prabhupada came to a hellish condition to serve Krishna, to reclaim some of his fallen souls, like his lost sons. Krishna is desiring that, we as our lost sons, please show them direction. So he'll send devotees and they want to serve the Lord like that. Okay, Haribol.
Thank you. That's very good. I would like to introduce somebody here who's very special, actually. Very special boy here. His name is, oops, where are you? Lost him. 1 second. There he is. So this is Chanta Gaura Hari. And he is a pujari, trained in Mayapur. Very sweet boy. And one of my favorite pujaris. And I'd like to welcome you. Thank you very much, Chanta. He's based in... Ah, great. Oh, you got your voice. Very nice. So you'd like to send some blessings from Mayapur to the devotees here?
Yeah.
Say a few words.
Last, earlier in Mayapur, that time, which side is Prabhupada is there, that side is first time Radha Madhav was there, that side.
Mm. Yeah.
Only Lolita Vishakha.
Yeah.
And suddenly I found that picture, one of my friend, mobile, and I compared that Radharani and Radha Madhav. Now is totally different, So now it looks Radharani, that time Radharani looks so young. If I found that picture, I can share with you. If somebody thinking is only a stone or something, it's a bit crazy, Just see yourself there. We are just comparing right now. Radha Madhav was there looking, and that time looks like Radharani is 16-year-old. I try to find and I'm going to share that thing.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a very nice realization.
Yes, you can notice if you find that in old picture, Radha Madhav only Lalita Vishakha, no Astashaki there. That time.
Right.
Just find that I have already. I just asked one of my friend.
You should share with us at some point. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I can share that.
Okay.
And
thank you. Yes.
Yes, right now Mayapur is quite good, everything, and
It's
just few days back
rain.
there have some chances for flood, but no, as Ganga Maya is again come down.
Okay,
so
that's good. That's good.
Everything is safe now.
Celebrations.
Very happy. All Mayapur.
Oh,
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for that, Shanta. And Priti, you there? Good. Priti, I had one more thing to add, which was that basically we actually take a positive angle on this. That, okay, my dear Lord, I may have made a mistake and I've come to this world, but I know when I go back, I will remember this crazy world and I will serve you even better than I was serving you before. So even we may have strayed away from him, yet the mood is, I know I'm going to do my best here, but when I come back to you, I'm going to do even better. Because I will remember the crazy world that I was in. And I know my original position, my situation is always to be at your service. So actually, there is a positive angle to take even on us leaving the spiritual world, that when we go back, we will be even better at our service with Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I've heard what you've said and other things, and that little bit you said about the guru. By the guru's mercy, they can change their position. So I'm reflecting on that, and I'm still trying to,
yes, of course,
really still trying to satisfy that kind of question that I've had. I mean, I get everything you guys are saying, but yeah, that's just part of me which really
No,
wants
that's
to
good.
find out.
Yeah. I remember I had one question which wasn't answered for years and years, and everybody who came, I'd ask them a question about it, you know. And, you know, somebody told me that actually you should wear your questions around your neck like a garland, but don't let it stop you from serving.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't stop you from serving, that question, it was always there, but I knew actually I had to serve more. And then the answer came when somebody said, actually, why don't you start worshipping a set of Gaunitai deities? Then you'll find out. And you know what? I did, and I found out.
Lovely.
So sometimes it's the service which, well, it is the service. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would tell somebody in the lecture who asked a question, go and wash the dishes. And then when he came back, after washing the dishes, Bhaktisiddhanta asked him, what's your question? And Bhaktisiddhanta said, my question was answered while I was doing the service. So, okay. Any other comments? Any other questions? Thank you very much, Didu, and especially thank you to Shanta. Amazing to.
And I want to say that this is my first time, and you know, there's Navinandan Prabhu told me that, so they're going to actually going to class on 8:30 in Indian time. So I never have any experience about Zoom, you know. So as soon as I installed Zoom, and that's, you know, this is my first time, you know, how I don't know how to speak and how can I see. This is first time, maybe do some mistake, or if I bother, please forgive me and please bless me, all of Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hare Krishna. Yes. Sorry, I missed that last bit. Can you just repeat it?
Yeah, because this is my first time, you know, and join on Zoom. You know, I never had when I heard from you that as soon as I install on my phone, and I try to how to is, you know, and just fill up that whole thing as soon as possible, and finally I am here. Mercy of you, all Vaishnavas. Yeah. If I did any mistake, it's my first time. Please forgive me and just bless me.
Now you're not forgiven.
And
You have to come back tomorrow.
yes. I'm so interested.
No, thank you. If you got time, please join us.
Thank you so much for everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare